Okay, so I want to go to a different place. I want to consider that more of this starts to happen, but even not just this, because it's important. Again, I speak for hearing voices, like, not that way. But I mean that we are allowing people's voices to be heard, because I think that we have to consider and understand that when something like this takes place, the community needs to heal. And I think that there needs to be more opportunities for the community to do that healing, and then we can get to the important work that Vicki is talking about. Because if I'm not healed, I'm not trying to hear about legislation, I ain't trying to hear nothing about a law, I want to hurt somebody, right? And that's the missing piece that will help us to respond as a community rather than react as a community. So, you know, as a person that, like, my practice is called holistic healing for a reason, because, you know, someone who is grieving in the way that I'm sure Nicole's family is grieving, if they go to a doctor or a therapist who is not a color, perhaps the first thing that they want to think of, or I'll even say someone who is not working from a holistic perspective, they want to give them a pill. See, but here's the thing, pills don't heal. So if I give you an antidepressant, then you take that antidepressant, but when it wears off, your pain is still there. And so we need to look at that grief that we are experiencing as a community, not outside of even Nicole's family and Anthony's family, because that's a personal, close up kind of grief. And then what happens is, as the community or the powers that be thinks that only they are the only people that are grieving. But there's something called grief of the spirit. And our spirits grieve. My spirit grieved when I watched that, when I see another young man lose his life needlessly. And people say, well, he was running from the police. If you are a young African-American male in this society, you are afraid of the police. And so people say, well, if he hadn't run, maybe he'd still be alive. But if he were not a black man, no one would be saying that. That's social justice to me. When everybody can speak the same language, and when I say something, it be given as much weight as somebody else who doesn't look like me might speak, and be given some credibility that is not afforded to me. And so I think that we need to be in the trenches, because this is the first thing. We need to understand that we need to heal, because that's a huge thing. But when you're angry, you can't even hear those voices that tell you that, and I want to say anger, and I also want to say hurt, because I would suffice to say that every mother watching that video first felt hurt in her heart, and then she was angry. And I think that's the pieces. We don't get the opportunity to be vulnerable and to show that anger or that pain or that hurt, because when we do that, we are labeled, and then everybody shuts down. So we need to be given the same right to scream, holler, kick, be mad, curse, pop somebody, pray to God, all of that, before we can begin to make the changes that we need to make. And my heart breaks every time that something like this happens, and it's misunderstood, and the response to it is misunderstood, because people automatically go to the negative aspects of what happens behind something like this, and they overlook the pain that fueled that action. And so what I'm asking is that we get together as a community and allies, because we can't do it alone, nor should we do it alone, because there are people who don't look like us who want the very same things that we want. But we need to heal to be able to even hear their voices. So, thank you. I'm just going to say I am Shelby and I'm done speaking like on Clubhouse, but I'm not.